Hey tubers, Pestleman coming at you here again with another vid on my newly acquired collection of charmstones. Now this is actually a response to a point that GBM brought up, and I'm kind of shooting this for him, but I'm going to try and include a lot of other kind of varied stuff that's kind of, I think, is kind of cool, so anyone else watching has got a good, something to hang in for. Okay, now note on these two here how they've got, although it's damaged, they have got little bitty slots, little bitty slits, little bitty grooves in there. Okay, well, GBM was commenting on that to me, and he said he has tried and thought, and he cannot figure out any practical reason for those or what they would happen to signify or, be there for. Now, I started thinking about that. Now, this immediately spun my brain because it's a well-known, historically documented thing that there are female charmstones. As a matter of fact, here's an example of the ones that I found right here in my area. And now some people call these footballs, some people say they are bola stones. Well, I'll slaughter that subject in a minute here. They are clearly are not, and they're lovely charmstones. Now, okay, not entirely everyone knows it, but we also have male charmstones in our area, and this right here is what they look like. There's a rather distinctive shape to them. I mean, they look like nothing more than a large male erection in stone. Now, unless you think those are a couple of oddballs, I mean, this is like a really common phenomenon to their pestles. Like a large amount of their pestles have got a very distinct, pronounced ring or knob down here on this end, and of course these were women's tools, and men were actually taboo for a man to even touch one or acknowledge they existed. So the women, I'm sure, were out there pounding away with their big knob pestles all day, probably some serious ribald jokery going down, but another day for that subject. Okay, now, so I got to thinking, hey, if this variety right here, which has it incidentally on both ends, too small to be functionally useful to tie or anything else, no other grooves or anything to hook it to help, tie it on or, whatever. Now, if those could be called female charmstones, I wonder if there's a variety of things that are male. So I took another closer look at the other types of these plummet charmstones that I just received. And I don't know about you, but boy, that looks awfully suspiciously like the knob of a male end of a phallus. So, what do you think? Oh, I'll give you another comparison. Okay, now, as clearly you can see, both of these, like anything I find almost all the time, have sustained some damage throughout time. But now just take a look at this. The female has the kind of characteristic female groove. The male has got something that looks pretty distinctively like an, very masculine kind of knob. Okay, now, that's, that isn't the only one. I mean, I'm seeing damage again, but I think you can kind of see that there is something kind of pretty clearly masculine distal end on this one too, and several others, although most of them are too damaged to really show right now. Okay, now back to the subject. Here's another one of the masculine pestles. masculine phallic. And they actually, you know, archaeologists around here are pretty staid, so they don't call them like beater pestles or nothing like that. They call them ringed pestles. Okay, now this phenomenon occurs around the world. Okay, now for instance, here's one, you know, got that pretty characteristic mushroom-shaped head on one that is a Taino from out of the Caribbean. It's also kind of interesting in that it's got a man's head on the other end of it here. Okay, now on to other fun stuff for people not involved in this discussion. Okay, now a few more of those footballs. Here's a rather enormous one out of the Mojave. Now, I'd also, you know, on the subject of why these footballs are not bola stones is, for instance, I think this one here would be just a little bit tough to get in your bola unless, of course, you were throwing it at something about 8 feet away. And I think even then you'd be better off using it to like just whack them on top of the head with as opposed to trying to throw it. Also, this, if you'll note here, this is out of a really kind of rough and not very dense sandstone. So, and notice how virtually intact this thing's. Probably those scuffs down there and those up there pretty much come at my hands, but so, I mean, this thing here, you know, has been polished for as rough a sandstone as it is, but it absolutely shows no signs of any type of use whatsoever, making it, in my opinion, a symbolic or ceremonial object, you know, which then would argue that, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, my little soapstone guy down here, which was actually kind of a gray chalky color when I first found it, but I loved it so much I stuck it in my pocket for about the first year I owned it in my Levi's pocket and carried it everywhere. It got really shiny. It got so shiny for a while there you could almost see your face in it. But, you know, there's one. Now here's a couple that the awesome fellow tuber Tulu dude gave me. Hey, buddy, good. Just shout out to Thule Dude. I so enjoy your friendship, my friend. Okay, now he swears he's seen these things in museums that are still attached inside the bolas, where, you know, old ancient leather boas found in like dry caves, you know, a really miraculous kind of a find in itself right there. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'd have to see one of those with my own 2 eyes and pull that stone out of there and look at it. And because I just can't imagine how anybody would put this much labor into these things. I mean, it's, you know, just try, anyone who wants to doubt me here, you just go pick up a piece of super dense hard sandstone like this. See how long it takes you to peck and grind and shape this thing into a reasonable facsimile of these little footballs. I mean, you'll be on it all week. So I just can't see that amount of labor, effort, sweat, and tears being put in to something like this that is going to be at such a hazard from when you're throwing the things, you know, landing on a rock, shattering, just simply getting lost, you know, landing in some spot you can't get it the heck out of. Or some spot it, you know, the little stone falls out in a whole acre of deep brush or something. You're never going to see it again. So, you know, I don't know. These are charm stones until somebody proves me different. Okay. Now, back to more of my desert charms. Here's one right here out of a pretty cool kind of semi-banded granitoid. Now, I won't call it granite. You know, there's about 24 versions of granite, I believe, and some of those really pedantic granitologists will just argue the heck out of it when you say something's granite if it's not. Now, here's one I got in the collection that I picked up a couple days ago that I just wanted to show off. I am so dreamy happy with it. It's out of a really, really high grade quartz. I mean, really high grade, really dense, big crystals in there that are almost clear. It almost was a quartz crystal or a big big compilation of quartz crystals. But anyway, it's in the characteristic egg, even more egg shape. Now, I want to go back to it. These egg-shaped things are female charmstones. The egg, signifying fertility and all of that stuff. They probably weren't real clear on the internal processes of human reproduction and simply, equated eggs with fertility, and they were like sympathetic magically involved, meaning that like their beliefs went like, I will eat the heart of the desert lion, and then that will give my heart the, courage of a lion and the ferocity of a lion spirit, kind of a thing. And, but now notice this one. It's got this really cool, amazing groove in it that goes all the way around it. Okay, now I will bet anything this, even though it's rather large and clunky, was made into like a necklace charm strung by this thing right here, that some gal who was having a little bit of fertility issues, some shaman hooked her up with this thing and she wore it around her neck. Just an old fat bald guy's, musings, but I'd be very curious to see what any of you guys say. Now I'm going to show off just a few more real quick. Okay. Now here's another one. Almost looks like a kid's top. It's basically a charmstone, an egg-shaped, more or less egg-shaped charmstone, but with like a real charmstone-y point on the thing. Now look at what's going on here. Very interestingly, if you look close, you can see there's a line of quartz that formed in this rock. And then this guy here shaped this whole larger stone to get that little line of quartz right up there at the top. And then he used that line of quartz as the center zone to peck out a groove all the way around this thing. Now, I don't know any more than that, except for I think that's just the cool as heck kind of thing. Oh, look! It's got a groove. I just noticed. It's got a groove that goes all the way around it, too. Just like the white one does. How awesome is that? Now, here's another. Clearly egg-shaped. Got no battering or anything like that, like it would have achieved if it had been, would have gained if it had been thrown. Very clearly a groove. So I don't know, I'm arguing, and until I'm going to believe it until proven otherwise, that these are great big female fertility charmstones worn like big pendants around the neck. I don't know, maybe suspended over the sleeping area of a woman wishing to conceive. Something like that.